I'm assuming you clicked on this video because you want to build a strong set of legs and you want to do so in a time efficient and effective manner. And if that's the case, watch this right here because I'm about to show you something that's going to make that happen. So take a look at this step up right here and ask yourself, how could you make this exercise more challenging for your leg muscles without increasing the weight you're holding on to, without increasing the height of the step, and without increasing the number of sets or repetitions? How could you do that? Believe it or not, there is one incredibly small change that you can make to this exercise, which I'm about to show you, that will force your leg muscles to work much harder and aggressively, making them light up like a Christmas tree. No extra weight to hold, no change to the step height or anything like that. And this change I'm about to show you leads to much more efficient and effective strength training. The result is bigger and stronger legs in less time. Now you've absolutely got to try this little technique to believe how much more challenging the exercise becomes, and I'm even going to throw in some bonus content on what makes this exercise one of my top go-tos for many of the athletes whom I rehab in the clinic. So let's not waste your time. I appreciate that you clicked on this video in the first place, so let's get after it. So to take your strength to the next level, we're going to take advantage of some human physiology and do two things with the upcoming exercise. Now, I don't want to bog you down with the specific physiology at play here, but ultimately it all comes down to manipulating muscle preload and eliminating counter movement. Now, you'll see what I mean with this in just a second. So if we take a look at a traditional step up, it's an outstanding exercise and there's nothing wrong with it per se. I mean, it will challenge your quadriceps muscles and your gluteal muscles as they're forced to contract to bring you up the step. But as humans, we often subconsciously find ways to make movement a bit more efficient and easier to complete, which in everyday life is a very good thing. But if we're deliberately trying to challenge our muscles in ways that force it to adapt by overcoming more physically demanding movement, taking out efficiency is then the best way to go, as this will pick on the muscles to a significantly greater extent. Traditional step-ups involve a subtle but intensity-reducing movement known as counter movement, which basically means that the body briefly generates some momentum to help it wind up and propel the body into the upcoming movement. And if we knock out this counter movement, we make some big changes to how hard the muscles have to work. So I'll show you just how to do that in one moment, but I'm not stopping here because we also got to put some preload into the equation, which is only going to pick on the muscles even more. Ooh, this is gonna get good. So here's how you're gonna go about doing this. Take a traditional step and place one leg on the top. Next, shift your body weight forward until around 90 or more % of your body weight is loaded up on your front leg. And here's where it's gonna get interesting. Take the heel of your back foot and lift it as high in the air as possible so that only the ball of your foot is on the ground. Essentially, think of your back leg just as a kickstand. It's just really there to keep you from falling over. Now, this is the critical part of the exercise. Hold this position for about 2 seconds. And then, and this is the critical component, without letting your heel drop down even 1 millimeter, push yourself up onto the step. Holding this position for a couple of seconds will force your leg muscles to contract and remain in a loaded state, making it much more challenging when it comes time to fire out of the position. And this is because holding this position for a couple of seconds with your weight shifted onto the front leg will cause the muscles in your front leg to have to hold a contraction for a few moments, which then makes it much more challenging to drive yourself up onto the step. If done correctly, between eliminating the counter movement and preloading your front leg, you'll feel your quadricep muscles and your gluteal muscles in your front leg really have to contract much more aggressively than with the traditional step up in order to get you up onto the step. But you're not done yet because there's still one more thing we need to ensure that you execute correctly. But first, I want to let you know that I am honored and feel blessed with the opportunity to share my knowledge and expertise in ways that help others live stronger lives. And if you think that's cool with what I'm doing, then please consider hitting the like button. I'm told that this helps the YouTube algorithm help share my content with others who could benefit from learning the science and art of coming back stronger. Now, back to the video. So once you've reached the top, you then need to lower yourself back down to the starting position in a slow and controlled manner so that the ball of your foot rests on the ground just like it was in the starting position. Now, as you do this, you should notice that your front leg stays in a loaded position the entire time, meaning it is always having to support your body weight. So then once you've returned to the starting position, You hold this position for a couple of seconds and then perform another repetition, repeating the process. Again, to be clear, throughout this entire process, you want to try and be leaning forward enough so that your front leg is always loaded up, supporting your body weight. And I would imagine by now that you can see how your quads and glutes are going to get hammered over the next handful of repetitions. Of course, you can modify this in ways to suit your needs and abilities. As an example, you can take a breather at the top or bottom of each repetition before you start onto the next one, or you can even put a leg drive into the step up, which will take things up another notch. It all just comes down to your needs and abilities. And you can, of course, hold on to more weight, or you can increase the step height, or any combination of the two. Just find what works best for you. So why do I often prescribe this exercise to many of the athletes I work with in rehab from lower extremity injuries? Well, in later stages of rehab, it's often important that I find ways to ensure my athletes not only have adequate strength, but also proper movement control when executing movements that require the entire lower extremity to move and function properly. And I could go into a world of detail about this within this video, but ultimately what's important to know here is simply that weakness and other issues in the hip and thigh can lead to poor movement control and function within the knee or even the hip, which is often the case after recovering from injury. Now, I could go into a world of detail within this video, but ultimately what's important to know here is simply that weakness and other issues in the hip and thigh can lead to poor movement control and function within the knee, which is often the case after recovering from injury. The slow but demanding effort required to complete the type of step up in this video can be an outstanding way for athletes and other individuals to become aware of and control their knee positioning when working to regain strength and endurance within the leg. So if you try this exercise for yourself, tune into your knee position throughout the exercise and ensure that it doesn't collapse inwards or roll around on you throughout the movement. If it does, it may mean that you need to improve the strength of your hip, which controls your thigh and subsequent knee position, or you may need to become more mindful of your knee position when performing lower body exercises. Alright everyone, if you thought that was cool, I've got other short videos following this same format where you can take traditional exercises and tweak them in little ways that absolutely light up your lower body like you wouldn't believe. So as a starting point, check out this video right here if you want to learn more efficient and effective ways to develop a stronger, more injury-resistant lower body. And in the meantime, keep making great things happen, and I will see you over there in the next video.